welcome. You're watching The Big Question. I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Artificial intelligence was always supposed to be an exciting tool, something to boost productivity, speed up mundane tasks, and overall make our lives easier. But apart from doing all of that, it's also now rewriting the rule book of employment and taking over jobs faster than perhaps we imagined. Pink slips are piling up as more and more companies across sectors slash jobs, restructure teams to embrace AI and automation. Tech jobs, which were once considered a safe bet, now find themselves at the forefront of these layoffs. Sample this. In 2024, the tech sector saw more than 1.5 lakh jobs cut across 549 companies, according to layoff tracker layoffs.fyi, with companies like Amazon, Google, and Microsoft leading the charge. This is, of course, globally. The cuts haven't stopped in 2025. Over 22,000 tech employees have lost their jobs over the world. In fact, Amazon has just recently announced it would eliminate 14,000 managerial positions by early 2025. The layoff spree is only getting worse. Earlier in Feb, Meta announced that it would slash 5% of its workforce, which is about 3,600 people. Similarly, HP too announced it was going to cut up to 2,000 jobs as part of its ongoing restructuring. There's also a growing trend of silent firings. In January, Google came up with a voluntary exit program. Employees who choose to accept the offer will be able to leave their roles with a guaranteed severance package. The AI threat has hit closer to home as well. Just days ago, Ola Electric laid off nearly 1,500 people across sales, distribution, and marketing departments. In Feb, Infosys laid off 700 freshers, while TCS reduced the variable pay for senior employees for the second consecutive quarter. Now, some of these layoffs may be due to economic conditions. Some of these, in certain company cases, may be because of how the company is faring. But the overall AI threat is now unmistakable. And perhaps this is only the beginning. World Economic Forum's Future of Work Report 2025 warns that 39% of existing skill sets will become outdated by 2030, while 40% employers anticipate reducing their workforce in roles where automation can take over. With all of this, the big question isn't if AI is coming for your job, it is, has the AI threat to your jobs finally arrived? And of course, what can you do about it? To speak more on this, I'm joined by Jitin Chawla, Director, Center for Career Development, Anuj Magazine co-founder, AI and Beyond. Joining us on the show today, Dr. Siddharth Malu, IIT Indore, speaking with us, and Ramani Datti, CFO of Teamlease, also joining in. Dr. Malu, let me start with your take of what we're seeing. Now, the tricky bit is when you have announcement on layoffs, companies aren't coming out and saying clearly this is because these jobs are now becoming automated. But if you read all the science together, it's pretty clear that that's the direction we're heading in, isn't it?
Well, yes and no. I would, first of all, thanks for having me here, Tamanna. I would recharacterize what you said as more of an AI opportunity. While there have been firings, please remember there have also been a huge number of new recruitments from amongst people who are not just experts in AI, but who can leverage AI skills in order to do, or in order to get a computer to do the mundane jobs that many of us were doing earlier. So while we are looking at only the threats, the fact is this is an opportunity like no other that exists right now, because anyone who is willing to learn how to leverage AI will not only be employed, but would also be employable for the foreseeable future. So there is, I think, more nuance to it than just a threat. It is a great opportunity as well, and we must look at the opportunity side and ask ourselves, what is it? How is it that we can upgrade ourselves, or IT
Dr. Malu,
employees?
that is agreed and considered that it's an opportunity, and
Right.
I would say it's not even a choice that you have to look at this opportunity. Anyone who's going to close their eyes and say, oh, woe is me, is not going to survive this. But the stage one will have to be to accept what's going around. and agree to
Right.
what's going on. This is not to say that companies should not adopt AI. It's to understand what is really happening. And let me come to you on that, Jitin Chawla. When you see all of this playing out, especially, let me deep dive into Bengaluru. If I was saying AI is coming for your job is a movie, it's now playing in the city of Bengaluru first. Is, you know, what can be said? Because very lucrative tech jobs are disappearing. Those who are on the bench or have gotten offer letters from really large companies are now being told we don't really need you. You're seeing that work out in the kind of rentals that are being charged in the city. What are you observing right now?
So I would say there are two perspectives to it. One perspective is people who are currently in a job. Maybe see, if I was them, I would just watch around. I'll see that there are sectors where I can use technology and enable businesses better. For example, prop tech. So in India, things have happened, but probably not to that extent as has happened in US or Dubai or other countries. So similarly, I would probably go on to like health tech, government tech. So government is using a lot of technology today in terms of IT assessment, but so many other sectors. If I look at consulting, if I look at digitization, which the government is enabling for schooling, for education, for healthcare, and so on. So this is one perspective where I'll try to combine it with sectors. So I have a base IT skill, which can be of various technologies. I combine it with some sectors which are growing, for example, agri-tech in India, and so on. So that is one. Second is from a point of view of a career counselor, we help students understand after 10th, after 12th, after graduation, and so on. So there are some jobs which are, I would say, still AI would not influence. Which are these jobs? So being a doctor, maybe think of a surgeon. Again, I have friends who are using robotic surgery and so on. But how many of us are comfortable to let that surgery happen without having any mental health professionals, where emotion. Similarly, art directors, people, maybe you have generated quite a few things through AI, but it is the art director who can plan it out. Hairstylists, dancers, musicians.
No, let me just come in there. It's interesting you mentioned this. Surgeons, how many people are going to become surgeons? You have to look at the skills you're describing and the number of people who can do those skills. The
Absolutely.
large volume of jobs are not being created in any case in segments which need that much skill. That means you have to be ahead of the curve 100 times over. I want to just get Anuj Magazine's view in on this. He's co-founder AI and Beyond. What is the thinking and the thought process right now, Anuj, in all levels of companies, might be large, might be mid-sized, might be small, when they're looking to save costs, automate, and maybe the impact at the end of the day is on the employee strength?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, first of all, thank you for having me here. I think, first up, when we are having this discussion, we need to have a clear distinction between three terms: the profession, the job, and the tasks. The profession is, for example, marketing. The job is marketing manager, and the tasks are, creating content, distributing content, creating engagement, etc. So in the last 2 years, what we have seen is that AI has really come after tasks, and it is coming after jobs, and especially the jobs which I believe are created in the last 30, 40 years in the digital world. It has come after the jobs of its creators first. Let me put it this way, that, the software engineers and the coders and the programmers, I think there is certainly a lot of, churn that is there at the task level and slowly approaching at the job level too. I think to your point, what are organizations looking at? I think in the end, I think it is what we have seen, like we go, our charter is to drive the AI literacy in the organization. We show people what AI can do with the live demonstrations, POCs, etc. And the narrative that comes across very clearly is the starting is the cost optimizations, and they want to do more with less. And AI, especially for the digital type roles which have been created in in the last 30, 40 years, it is ripe for disrupting those first up before coming to the other roles which are there. I think there's one
minute,
Anuj,
Anuj, let me just de-jargonize everything you said, because you used all the terms which I'm sure in client pitches you do: cost optimization, efficiency, etc. When you go in for a consult and a company is coming to you and saying that I want to decrease costs, what does it on an average translate into when it comes to the number of jobs cut?
No, I think, see, I mean, there is no conversation, honestly, at that level of engagement level of cost cuts right up. I think the idea is that companies want to get literate on what AI can do for them, and that is the gap we help them fill. And the conversation that we have seen actively coming up. I think we've worked with a lot of CEOs and the C-level executives over the last several months into this company, and the conversations eventually come up with, like, in our annual operating plan, we had these assumptions for these roles. Do we need to revisit those or not? I think then it drives the cost conversations from there. I think first up, companies are wanting to realize, and when I say companies, these are not just IT companies, but not lot of non-IT sector too, where they are coming up with thoughts around what AI can do for them, and there is an immense amount of curiosity which is there in the leadership right now on how they can leverage AI beyond like AI washing, right? I think which, I'm sure everyone wants to get associated with that word, but eventually it is the bottom line that they're looking to get the AI gains towards.
Okay, so the bottom line, of course, some of it will be efficiency, the others, I just want to understand, Ramani, let me come to you on this. What are the kind of jobs that are going to become redundant sooner? And let's start by talking about what we're seeing right now. When we have done this show with the premise that a lot of the layoffs and job cuts, some of them could be economy related, could be, there's a lot of global turmoil right now, it could be related to all of that, but some of the job cuts that we're seeing right now are definitely AI adoption driven. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely, Tamanna. So just like any disruptive technology, AI is also definitely displacing a lot of jobs, especially in the white collar space, and more importantly, in the IT and digital space. But having said that, is it like too early to assess the overall impact of AI on the entire employment landscape in the country? Maybe yes, because at TeamLease, we are in the business of covering both white collar, gray collar, and blue collar jobs. So in any given month, we are onboarding about 25,000 employees, new employees in non-IT space. As of now, there we are not seeing any impact of AI Act, because these are the jobs which are high touch, where physical presence of the employee is needed. So those jobs at this stage, there is no risk. And as you rightly pointed out, within IT, yes, there is an impact. But how much is on account of AI? How much is on account of overall global headwinds? Because over the last 2 years, IT headcount has been consistently coming down in the IT services side, while GCCs to some extent are adding headcount. Because of global headwinds and drop in the IT discretionary spends, there the jobs have been coming down. Now, on top of that, AI is definitely eating into certain category of jobs, not just the number of jobs, it is also eating into the salaries, because we have seen some of our large clients who are replacing 5-6 years of experience profiles with much junior profiles at a lower cost by using AI tools and other related technology support. So that category is definitely getting impacted. But as I mentioned, on the flip side, the gray collar, blue collar, there are certain emerging AI tools which can help companies to increase the productivity, to derive higher productivity from the employees, which in the long run is much more beneficial from a corporate perspective as well as from employee perspective. In the long run, if we assess both the pros and cons of AI, I'm more optimistic that the upsides of AI would be much higher than what we are seeing in the short run currently.
No, so let me come back to that, Ramani. Why would it be a win-win for employees as well as corporates? I can understand why it's a win-win for the corporate, and that's that's obvious. We're going to get there where we have efficiency. But if what you are describing is that the blue-collar, gray-collar jobs stay, but the white-collar jobs, the one that frankly India aspires for, all those fights for a JEE entrance and then to get to IIT and then to change your life is for that white-collar job. That's the job that you're describing right now, which is most at risk, isn't it?
Let me put it this way, Tamanna, like a couple of decades back, there used to be a large number of jobs which are into call centers, the calling activities, BPOs.
Yeah.
But now majority of the jobs have been replaced with IVRs, chatbots and all. But just because those jobs are lost, are all jobs in IT and digital space completely disappeared? No, right? So we have much more increase in the overall number of jobs within white collar. So I'm going with the same logic. Definitely AI will disrupt certain category of jobs, but there'll be a lot more newer jobs being created, and it will in the long run definitely improve the productivity, because one of the biggest challenges that we are facing in the country right now is the skill shortage and productivity of the employees, especially at the entry and mid level. So AI tools can definitely help to enhance this productivity in the long run.
Okay, let's switch tack to now. So a couple of things that we have now established in this conversation, that yes, AI is coming for your job, and if you don't upskill, you are going to be in trouble. So that is the next obvious question. How do you upskill? Jitin Chawla, let me start with you. If there is someone who's watching this, and if you look at the trends even globally, I would say the more senior, middle manager kind of roles are the most vulnerable right now. These are also perhaps the segment of employees who would find it the most difficult to change and find new skills overnight. So what is your advice for them?
So yes, and again, in our day-to-day interactions also, we have actually helped a lot of people change. So somebody, let's say somebody is in a middle management level at an FMCG company. So probably they need to understand how the entire e-commerce system is shifting. Or let's say somebody is working in marketing. I was reading yesterday only that rather than now looking at only large influencer-based marketing, it is the micro-influencer marketing which is catching traction, is giving better buck for the a better return on the money. So what is also happening in the education sector? So there are new courses shaping up. So there are courses now where after graduation, let's say I go and take up a course, I only learn practically on how to run the business. It is all the theory has been kind of thrown out. Why? Because it is quite old. So I would see a lot of MBA institutions completely changing. I have a friend who helps people get case studies from Harvard, and he has been able to sign up a lot of new contracts because the principals, the directors are realizing that hey, we are still not equipped. So let's look at the practical case studies which are coming from an institution like Harvard. Similarly, a lot of online players have started executive management courses. The number of people going in for any kind of training programs has increased. There are so many AI-based setups who are offering training, and not only organizations. I had a director of a very large chain of schools. So she reached out that hey, we want to establish a training center which helps how education sector people, including managers in our schools, they have more than 100 schools, so including teachers, including people at various levels, how they can use AI. So they want to set up an AI center at the school, at a HRD center of that school chain. So a lot of serious efforts happening all around in terms of education. When I speak to my friends who are working with top companies in other countries, they have already undergone some classes, orientation programs, prompt engineering, and so on and so forth. So I think already the ecosystem is shaping up. Some people are doing it before they get kicked out. Some others, they would probably, once kind of they are out, and they find some, they'll identify those programs then and then build up.
Yeah, I would hope for, Anuj, let me come to you on the same question. How do you reskill and prepare? Because the time lag between, finding yourself redundant and then finding a way to get back in the race is too long. How do you prepare for it in advance, and how do you identify? Frankly, let me start from there because you're on the other side. Yeah. How do you identify if your job is going to be threatened by AI or not from an individual's perspective?
Absolutely. I think, Tamanna, so you mentioned about a scenario that's changing fast. It's not a bug, it's a feature of the new world that we are entering into. Okay, I think the whole premise with which we started AI and Beyond was that the whole definition of literacy is changing in today's times. It is no longer only about reading, writing, and arithmetic. There is a new dimension being added, which is how to work effectively integrating AI tools into your day-to-day workflows. So upskilling yourself, I think it's a given. I think, people, quickly learning, it's a given. I think, we got to be bracing ourselves for this era where the cost of expertise is drastically coming down. One actionable tip that I'd like to give to people who are wanting to kind of stay ahead in this era is an acronym that I use, like, become CEOs. By CEOs, I don't mean that, chief executive officers. By all means, start companies and, flourish in those roles. But in this era, by CEO, I mean become chief experimentation officers. I think, this technology is not something which will come like 2 years from now. This is here and now in our hands, with which we can work on. So we got to use these tools into day-to-day lives, experiment with them actively rather than waiting for some, external powers to come in and tell us what to do. And I think we have to be constantly upskill. Just because we cannot be experts of the past version of the world, which is changing so fast.
Yeah, no, having said that, Dr. Siddharth Malu, this question to you, is it also incumbent on companies to train, retrain, and get people ready for this? Or really, for them, it doesn't matter, they're just looking at the bottom line?
Two things. Companies have actually approached us, especially in the last 2 years. But in the last 10 years, I've seen increasingly companies approach us saying, can you help us out in training people for machine learning? It used to be called machine learning earlier, but in AI and machine learning, can you give us some translatable skills for industry? And of course, IITs, places like IITs had to be ready. Thankfully, we here at IIT Indore, places like IIT Indore, and I'm seeing some universities like Shiv Nadar come up with this on this scale as well. We anticipated, we didn't know AI revolution was coming, but we knew that a hands-on, a shift, a paradigm shift towards more hands-on education was on the cards. So 10 years ago, we actually revamped our syllabus on our own. And now we are, in fact, reaping some benefits of it.
Ramni, but let me get you that question very quickly. As you go in to hire people to listen to what companies want, how can individuals protect themselves and prepare more than anything else?
It's a very difficult question to answer, Tamanna, to be very honest, because the rate at which the skill set demands or the technology is changing and the expectations of employers for an individual to upskill themselves in such a short span to newer technologies or newer skill set is extremely challenging. And this is a situation which we are going through right now, and because of which, even though there are open positions from the employers, we are not able to fulfill more than 20 or 30% of the open positions. So that means there is a huge gap in the expectation from the employers and the real skill set of the employees. Can a short-term or an interim course for 4 weeks, 6 weeks can bridge this gap? I'm not very sure. Maybe for certain roles, it may. But if we are talking about senior level, mid-level skill set into new technologies, that's a very tricky question to answer. And I don't have an answer to that at this stage.
Yeah, let me come to Jitin. Jitin wants to come in. Yes, quickly, Jitin.
So I met a very senior entrepreneur at Bali Impact. That's an education event pre-API. And I was checking with him about questions and how it would impact my own business, career counseling. We work with schools and independently, retail. So, he said, have you asked the same questions to ChatGPT? Or are you using Perplexity? Is it there on your phone? So I think the best, like some old Amitabh Bachchan movie, it was Loha hi lohe ko kaatta hai. So I would keep on, I'll create, let me complete, I'll create modules of YouTube videos of content available all over the world using AI. So I work in real estate. I'll go and check out, I'll ask a prompt that create a module for me. I think that's one good solution where, of course, the moment I keep on getting better, I get better and better at prompting, I'll create better and better modules, including YouTube videos, courses, anything from all over the world.
Okay.
So I think that's one solution which
that's an interesting solution. I mean, I don't know if people can outthink and outpace artificial intelligence, but preparing yourself and thinking differently definitely will help. This is a different stage that we are entering into, and important to first recognize where we are. Is AI gunning for your job? Probably. Is it today? Depends on what your job is. How do you prepare for yourself? Well, whatever you do, you better start planning. That's the long and short of it. Thank you to all of you for joining us on this episode of The Big Question, and to our viewers, thank you for tuning in. Tell us what you think of the show. We're waiting to hear from you.